Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Atika. Today I and my group members Shah, Hayati and Anis will present about communication. So without wasting any time, so let's go. So let's start with introduction about communication. So communication is every interpersonal relationship is built on communication. It occurs among several individuals or groups, and how these individual or employees communicate has a significant impact on the growth of flow of the communication. Second is effective and healthy communication skills can help to improve workplace culture and eliminate miscommunication among all members of an organization. And three is it can also develop commitment among employees in the organization. This would lead to better productivity for the organization. It also helps in time management within an organization and reducing resource. What it means, communication will take place among individuals or group because we will look at the way people or employees communicate with each other. So the first factor in organization is communication, then can help misunderstanding between teamwork, and we need to respect each other to get good communication in work. So when some organization have good communication, we can get good commitment in team's work and can help in time management in order to eliminate waste of resource. So that's all for introduction. So let's start with definition of communication. So next is definition of communication. Communication is a process of conveying information through marketing, exchange message or data. This exchange of information happens between two or more people and can take place via speech by using visual or signals. The American management said communication is behavior that will lead to exchange of meaning. So communication will ensure that the message conveyed is understood by the person receiving it. So it means communication is very important to share any information. It means information will be sent between individuals or organization by a proof symbol. Why? Because when a message is not understood or misinterpreted, it will lead to misunderstanding and can be conflict, and that will lead to unhealthy environment.
Thank you, I know. Now it's my turn to continue the presentation. As you can see on the screen, our topic today is communication. In this part, I will covering these 2 points, which is the function of organizational communication and also the communication process. In an organization, communication serves 4 major functions in organization, which is motivation, information, control, and interaction. Employees need to have effective organizational communication in order to achieve excellent job performance. The communication between the top management and the employee needs to be effective for a better work culture. Let's see the first one, motivation. Communication is used by managers to inspire employees and again optimal performance. Communication may assist a business in achieving a certain goal by clarifying expectation among other things. Feedback and reinforcement can also be a formal process, but it also be in informal ways. Next is information. Communication as a medium for transmitting information allows individuals to get familiar with their surroundings. Obtaining information might take the form of question, facts, or imperative. Organizations need to keep their employees informed their goals, industry, information, preferred process, develop new development and technology in order that they can do their job correctly and efficiently. third one is control. Communication is used by organizations to keep control over its workers and their working environment. Human resource rules and laws clarify how employees are required to behave in the workplace. Organizations have rules and processes that employees must follow, which are presented to workers in order to maintain order within the system. For example, if an employee has a complaint about a particular duty, the company will issue the complaint be addressed with a supervisor first. If it remains unresolved, the next stage in the procedure may be to register a complaint, which will be considered by a committee. This is an example of a company using its communication channels to maintain order and guarantee that concerns are heard fairly. The final function is interaction. Communication enables workers to communicate with consumers with one another. A customer service department communicates with clients in order to assist them in resolving the problems. The communication is a dynamic process that begins with the concept of ideas by sender, who then transmit the message through a channel to the receiver, who in turn give the feedback in the form of some message or signal within the given time frame. This figure illustrates 7 major elements communication process. The process begins with the sender. The sender is the person who has idea, knowledge, information to share with others. Before sending the message, convert the message into commonly accepted language. This is called encoding. Once the encoding is finished, the sender gets the message that he wants to deliver. The message is the combination of symbols that the sender sends to the recipient through the media or channel. We transmit the information orally, in writing, and visually. Next, the sender chooses the medium through which he wants to convey the message to the recipient. The medium can be anything that carries message. For example, letter, newspaper, radio, TV, telephone, and also email. The recipient of the message is called receiver. When message is using an appropriate medium, it is received by the receiver. Receiving of the message involves a sensory and cognitive process, which finally leads to understand. The process of understanding a communication to understand the sender's meaning is known as decoding. Effective communication occurs only if the recipient understands the message in the same way as the sender. The receiver reaction after being exposed to the message is referred to as the response. This response by the receiver makes the whole process complete. Last but not least, the noise shows the barriers in communication. There are chances when the message sent by the sender is not received by the recipient. That's all from me. So now, I will pass the time to the next presenter, Hayati Amran, to explain to us the direction of communication.
Thanks to Shah, and now I'm going to talk about direction of communication. What is direction of communication? Direction of communication flows both vertically and laterally, which means there is 2 types of vertical communication. First is downward communication, and the second is outward communication. Downward communication. Downward communication always happens when a manager or someone in higher position directs, assigns, and shares information with employee and others at a lower level than the sender. This is considered as assigning, while employees are more likely to accept the downward communication if they are given a clear understanding why the instructions are being given. Upward communication. Upward communication is a flow that occurs when someone in a lower level or employee send message to a manager or someone in a high position. There are a few types of information that are being shared, which is report performance, suggestion for improvement,
challenges and problems, and grievance and dispute.
Thank you to Hayati. Now I will talk about interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication have 3 points. First, oral communication. Oral communication includes speech, formal one-to-one and group discussions, rumors, as well as the grapevine. It saves time, it creates group synergy, encourages teamwork, and allows instant feedback and response. Second, written communication. It is about any form of interaction which use the written word. The types of written communication used are memos, reports bulletins, job descriptions, employee manuals, and emails. Third, nonverbal communication. It is transmission of message without words. For example, body gestures, facial expression, the use of space, handshakes, dress code, and phrases. Organizational communication. A network of information which flows through the organization with the intention to achieve organization goals, vision, and mission. Besides the upward and downward communication channels, the grapevine, video conferencing, and electronic communication are being used heavily as communication modes. Barriers to effective communication. We have 6 barriers. First, selective perception. Selective perception is a really important barrier to communication, and it is one of the lesser known barriers. This is an internal type of barrier that differs between people. For example, if an HR manager is in charge of hiring has negative beliefs and stereotypes of a certain gender or race, they likely aren't going to hire them. Even if that candidate is the best fit for the job, they still won't hire them because all they see are the stereotypes. Filtering of information. Filtering refers to a sender manipulating information so it will be seen more favorably by the receiver. The major determinant of filtering is the number of levels in an organization structure. Language differences. Communicated message must be understandable to the receiver. Words mean different things to different people. In organization, people come from different regions, different backgrounds, and they speak different language. Language is a central element in communication. Information overload. Unchecked inflow of information very often becomes another barrier to communication. When people are bogged down with too much information, they are likely to make errors. They may also delay processing or responding to information or message, at least for some time. Emotions. How the receiver feels at the time of receipt of information influence effectively how he interprets the information. For example, if the receiver feels that the communicator is in a jovial mood, he interprets that the information being sent by the communicator to be good and interesting. A person's ability to encode a message can become impaired when the person is feeling strong emotions. The last one is poor listening skills. Poor listening skills may lead to serious communication problems. Many people are interested in talking and mostly about themselves. They are so much involved about themselves that they do not have patience to listen. Everybody knows about the importance of listening, but very few actually practice patient, active and empathic listening. That is why so many communication problems crop up. Next, improving communication skills. First, be a good listener. Listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret message in the communication process. Listening is key to all effective communication. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. Second, understand and master nonverbal communication. The transfer of information through the use of the body language, including eye contact, facial expression, gestures, and more. For example, smiling when you meet someone conveys friendliness, acceptance, and openness. Everyone uses nonverbal communication all the time, whether they know it or not. Third, be aware of individual differences. Individual differences are the ways in which people differ from each other. Every member of an organization has their own way of behavior. It is important for managers to understand individual differences because they influence the feelings, thoughts, and behavior of employees. Issues in communication. First, personal issues. Some employees tend to mix their personal lives into workplace communication. Personal communication detracts from the professionalism in the office. There is a time and place for personal communication in the office, and it's necessary for employee engagement and camaraderie. But if this personal communication is disturbing or negatively impacting the work chat, then it's inefficient and problematic. Personal issues in the workplace should be monitored and organized so it doesn't become a distraction to the other employees. Lack of feedback. If communication moves in one direction only, discourse will quickly become ineffective. Feedback is important on many levels. A lack of feedback can lead to demotivation and slack work attitudes. But no matter whether feedback is good or bad, it is a necessity. Unfamiliar workplace communication culture. New employees who just joined an organization may naturally feel overwhelmed by the unfamiliar work environment. They may not be able to understand the communication culture as well as the norms within the organization, especially if the new employees are fresh graduates with little to no working experience.